Ah, the Kanto Region, the place where it all began and home to some of the strongest trainers in the Pokemon world. There's something about this region that makes it particularly powerful. Perhaps it's the fact that it competes with the Johto region for dominance in the Indigo Plateau Pokemon League, the fact that there were so many child prodigies who emerged at around the same time, or the fact that it's one of the first developed regions in the timeline. Who knows? But today we're going to count down the top 10 strongest battles in Kanto. And we're not just talking, oh, Brock was pretty tough if you chose Charmander. No. The absolute strongest battles you can possibly encounter in any game that features Kanto, including secret bosses. For the sake of variety, we'll only be taking the strongest individual appearance of each of the trainers. If you're ready to relive some of the hardest battles in the game, buckle in and let's get started. Starting off is going to be the first Elite Four member we ever meet from Kanto, Lorelai. Although she can definitely prove powerful when we first battle her, she becomes a lot more powerful throughout the series, and her strongest battle in Kanto has got to be her rematch in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, which the player can access after becoming champion. Based on levels alone, this is definitely one of the strongest battles we can have in the region, as they all range from level 61 to 62. Beyond that, it actually has surprisingly good coverage given that she specializes in the Ice type. Her Fighting type weakness is covered by Slowbro and Jinx, her Fire weakness is covered by many other Water types that she has, her Grass type weakness is covered by Ice types, etc. And her Pokemon's movesets are quite competitive as well, with good coverage, use of stab, and priority moves too. While it may be the weakest on this countdown, it is certainly one of the strongest we can face in the Kanto region. Up next, we've got none other than one of the most consistent Elite Four members, Bruno. He is one of the two most long-standing Elite Four members in a Pokemon League that covers 2 entire regions. To look at the 9th strongest battle in Kanto, we're going to head to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where he can be rematched in the league after the player gets all 16 badges. His team in this battle is quite scary, all ranging from level 61 to 64, and they've all got great movesets too, like Machamp's Fatal No Guard and Dynamic Punch combination, and Lucario's Extreme Speed and Close Combat. His team is quite vulnerable to Psychic type moves though, and that's one reason why his Fire Red and Leaf Green rematch team is almost just as good, with slightly higher levels and Steelix, although it only has 5 members and with worse movesets. Nonetheless, his Heart Gold and Soul Silver rematch battle is undoubtedly one of the top 10 strongest in all of Kanto. Next up is going to be another Elite Four member, Karin, who was introduced into the Pokemon League in the Gen 2 games. However, the Indigo Plateau is technically located within the Kanto region, so her battles do count for our purposes. The 8th strongest battle in Kanto is also going to be a Heart Gold and Soul Silver Indigo Plateau rematch, where Karin's got Pokemon ranging from 62 to 64, and unlike Bruno, actually has some ways to counter her common weaknesses, such as Flying and Bug. Her Pokemon also have wicked movesets. I'm looking at Weavile, Houndoom, and Umbreon in particular, and has a great mix of offensive and defensive presence. As a newcomer to the league, Karin definitely has made her mark among the great trainers in Kanto, and has done an amazing job maintaining the league's strength despite recent Elite Four departures. At number 7, we're actually going to head to the Pokemon Yellow remakes Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, where we've got our rival, Trace. Now, Trace is not often thought as being a powerful trainer, but he can actually be rematched after the player becomes champion, where it's assumed that he's fighting back for his spot. He does call you champion after all, and he sure brings the heat. This rematch sees him utilize a really well-rounded team with great coverage and levels ranging from 66 to 67. Although some of his Pokemon aren't the most competitively viable, they're all quite solid, especially given the Kanto roster, and Slowbro is always a monster to face. He also starts off crazily strong with a Mega Pidgeot, which can cause a lot of trouble, and his Pokemon have great movesets too, taking advantage of Stab, utilizing their stat preferences when it comes to physical and special attacks, and also some defensive prowess with Reflect and Light Screen, allowing his sweepers to come in safely to put in some work. Though he may not be a favorite of many fans, there's no denying he gives us one of the strongest battles in the region, and for that he at least deserves some respect. Next up, we're heading to one of the OG Kanto Elite Four members, Agatha, who makes her strongest appearance in Kanto during the events of Fire Red and Leaf Green, where after becoming champion, the player can rematch the Elite Four, and she has an immensely powerful team despite only having 5 members. Her team ranges from level 66 to 70 and includes 2 super powerful Gengars with crazy moves like Stab, Shadow Ball, and Sludge Bomb, along with Hypnosis and Confuse Ray, making them super difficult to even hit, never mind take down. Speedy, powerful, and highly troublesome, Agatha knows how to cause some trouble and is relentless in her tactics, which is perhaps part of the reason she was the most senior member of the Elite Four before she presumably retired. An honorable mention here is her Let's Go rematch team, which does have a full team of 6 and a bit more variety, but it's very hard to place here given its level discrepancy. At the halfway mark following Agatha is going to be her longtime rival, none other than Professor Oak himself. Now, although Game Freak tried to scrap his secret boss battle, it still exists within the game and is accessible, so I'd say it certainly counts as one of the toughest battles that occurs within Kanto because, well, it does occur within Kanto after all. Oak's team is able to be battled in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow and is actually the highest level team in the entire first generation, even higher than the champion Blue, ranging from level 66 to 70. Not only that, but the typings of his Pokemon are very diverse, meaning unlike some of the previous trainers, no single type will cause him difficulty. Now, we are granting Oak a little bit of leeway in two regards. First of all, he's operating with Gen 1 movesets which just aren't really great in general, and secondly, he only has 5 Pokemon, but so does Agatha, and he also has all 3 starters depending on what the player chose, so he could have just likely included one of those other ones on his team anyway. Nonetheless, this is certainly among the strongest trainer battles in Kanto's history. At number 4 is going to be yet another secret battle and one of the coolest battles we can have in all of Kanto in my opinion. A battle against the third of the major Kanto trio, Green. Now, a lot of people don't know much about Green, but she was a major character in the manga and was meant to be one of the OG trio, but was kind of forgotten by the developers. That is, until she made a secret battling appearance in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. In the Cerulean Cave, after the player has caught Mewtwo, she'll appear where it turns out she was also looking for Mewtwo, so she challenges us to battle out of anger. Green has a surprisingly powerful team with Pokemon all ranging from level 66 to 68, and having incredibly diverse and well-rounded team members with competitive movesets too. Her final Pokemon is also a Mega Blastoise, adding huge power to her team and an extra challenge made all the more difficult by her lead Clefable's Light Screen and Reflect capabilities. As a forgotten trainer, it's amazing to see Green finally have a shot at showing us what she's capable of, and her team certainly makes her one of the strongest encounters in the entire region. And for the bronze medal, we're going to take it back to Heart Gold and Soul Silver, where the champion, Lance, makes a very powerful appearance in his rematch battle, where all of his Pokemon range from level 68 to 75, and he has some highly competitive threats such as Salamence, Gyarados, Garchomp, and Dragonite. Not only is this one of the highest level battles in all of Kanto, but he's also got great movesets on his Pokemon, and it's stacked with 3 pseudo-legendaries with that classic 600 base stat total. The only problem here is that 4 of his Pokemon have a quad weakness to Ice, and despite the fact that Charizard helps out with that a bit, it's still a massive risk to take. Otherwise, this is undoubtedly a super beastly team that is bound to cause trouble for any Kanto trainers who manage to make it to him, and is definitely one of the top 3 strongest teams we can battle. The runner-up is going to be none other than the former champion, Blue, back when he was trying his hardest to surpass Red, who had recently dethroned him. Blue traveled to the Sevi Islands to train as hard as he could, and when he came back, he was able to be challenged in a rematch battle in which he became exceptionally powerful, with all of his Pokemon from level 72 to 75. Blue's main strength has always been the diversity he has in his team, and the slightly higher levels and diversity is exactly what puts this team slightly above Lance's with those 4 quad Ice weakness Pokemon. All 6 of Blue's Pokemon are competitively viable, and although their movesets are perhaps slightly outdated, this comprises the second strongest battle we can have in the entire Kanto region, especially with moves like Dragon Dance on Gyarados, Reflect on Alakazam, Priority Extreme Speed on Arcanine, etc. And the number 1 strongest battle we can have in all of the Kanto region, the best that Kanto has to offer, might actually surprise some people. Many people might instinctively say it should be Red's secret battle at the top of Mount Silver, but Mount Silver is actually canonically located within the Johto region, so it can't be used for this countdown. Instead, we're going to be using another secret appearance of Red, and one that is in fact even stronger than that battle. In Let's Go, if the player becomes the champion and then defeats 6 of the very powerful Master Trainers scattered throughout the land, Red will make a very rare appearance outside of the Indigo Plateau. Given the timeline of this game, taking place about a year before the events of Gen 2, it's assumed that this battle happened shortly before Red heads off to Mount Silver. Or perhaps he came back down from his training since he heard there was a strong trainer and a new champion. Who knows? Nonetheless, Red emerges with the strongest individual team we've ever seen him with, and the strongest in all of Kanto, with every single Pokemon being at a whopping level 85. Now, like Blue, Red's strength lies in his type variety, as it's very hard to find something that counters his team well. His team is overall quite bulky, but it does have some speedy powerhouses like Pikachu and Arcanine. All his Pokemon have great movesets, and his Venusaur even has the option to Mega Evolve, making it a nearly indestructible threat, especially with Amnesia and being at such a high level. This secret battling appearance just outside the Indigo Plateau is certainly the strongest possible battle we can have in the entire Kanto region, which is saying a lot given its history of strong trainers. Well, there we are everyone, the top 10 strongest possible battles we can have in the Kanto region. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss an upload. Make sure to let me know in the comments any battles in Kanto that are particularly memorable for you or any ones that you had trouble with. Before we go, I'd just like to give a shout out to my patrons. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. If you want to help fund a True Power tournament with the strongest teams of the various Kanto trainers and get some cool perks for doing so, feel free to check out the link to my Patreon page in the description below. With that being said, this has been Spectre, and I'll see you guys next time for another Pokemon video.